Thanks for joining us on To The Point. I'm Becca Habiger in for Alex. We talk about tiny homes and solutions to the affordable housing crisis a lot on this show. Just a few days ago, we talked about the governor's plan to deploy 1,200 of these cabin sheds across the state to house people experiencing homelessness. 350 of those are tentatively set to be placed at Cal Expo in coming months. And then, of course, there's the lot of 100 of those sheds on Power and Road that are supposed to house people experiencing homelessness. Those are still vacant, as Sacramento City and County say they're having issues with permits and material sourcing. And they're not just a solution for homelessness. We've even spoken to people fighting to have the right to live in a tiny home on their own land. They say it's a cheaper option for people who don't need as much space or simply can't afford today's home prices. But a lot of times, solutions to the homeless crisis, like tiny home plots, are often met with so-called NIMBYism, not in my backyard. But tonight we want to introduce you to one woman who is saying YIMBY, yes, in my backyard, literally. She's changing lives with tiny homes and lots of love, but don't just take my word for it.
Welcome to Safe Harbor, a community of 4 tiny homes for families transitioning out of homelessness and into permanent housing.
Everyone's dealing with something different, so the average stay is about 45 days.
Robin Moore is the founder of WeForce California Inc., the nonprofit that runs Safe Harbor. She came up with the idea during the COVID lockdown when in-person volunteer opportunities ground to a halt.
How do you put your heart on lockdown?
She opened not only her heart, but also her own backyard, which is where Safe Harbor is located in Sacramento's Del Paso Heights area.
This is our kitchen area, and we have utensils, and they can use the refrigerator, and they have a washer dryer.
WeForce board member Christine Jefferson says families don't always gravitate to the community kitchen when they first move in.
Because they were so used to being homeless that they didn't really have anywhere to cook. So we had to encourage them to come in here and use this area right here.
Safe Harbor took in its first family in December of 2021 and has served about 50 people altogether in its nearly 14 months of operation. Families are screened and referred by another local nonprofit, Family Promise of Sacramento.
By the end of this month, we should have our 20th family that has come down that Safe Harbor path. When they walk down, they're anxious. I don't know where they're coming from, sometimes out of their cars, sometimes out of hotels and motels because they're working just to be sheltered. We're all used to the homelessness that you see, at the intersection or the river area, and you see all these. There is an even bigger layer that you don't see. And there are families that are just trying to make it from day to day.
This is family number 5.
Yeah, look at your color.
This is beautiful. You look nice.
Christina Talley and her 15-year-old daughter became homeless after leaving an abusive relationship. They were the 5th family to come through Safe Harbor, and Talley calls it life-changing.
The biggest thing I think was the no judgment zone. That allowed me to release the shame that I had in reference to being connected to someone who had been addicted to methamphetamines, to being in a domestic abusive relationship. That right there, I think that was the most powerful point for me with this whole entire program. And just that little white house alone did that. Just being there, get conversations with Robin here and there, and just, how are you? I don't know how I am, but and then the next thing I know, I could tell her how I am, and that's huge.
Talley and her daughter have moved on from Safe Harbor and are now living in an apartment.
We're wanting to be on the track of home purchasing, and we are just really excited to get this part started because it's a forever thing, right?
Thank you so much. I don't know if I could have found me if it wasn't for you, God.
Through it all, Moore remains a supportive person in their lives.
And beyond even what I could even imagine that could happen. And I'm like, I deserve this, and they're telling me that I do.
And Moore wants to help more. WeForce has received a $100,000 grant, which Moore plans on using to grow Safe Harbor.
Our plan is to go next door with 2 more units and an actual resource center.
to help even more people transition out of homelessness, because no single person can solve the crisis, but everyone can do something.
Let's get this done. Together, we're a force.
Together, we're a force. I love that. Robin Moore, by the way, says she is a nerd when it comes to doing things right, dotting every I, crossing every T, getting the permits and the insurance, because she wants Safe Harbor to last and thrive as a bridge from homelessness to housed. Now, if this story got your wheels turning, thinking, hey, maybe I have a space in my yard, I could try this too, Robin says she has a roadmap she's happy to share with anyone. We've put a link to where you can get in touch and donate if you're so inclined on abc10.com/tothepoint. Just look for links mentioned. And we learned about this story, by the way, because we heard from a reader of ABC 10's Race and Culture newsletter. You can sign up for that, and we want to hear from you if you have something to highlight in your community. Send us a text at 916-321-3310. Hundreds of people are still without power in Woodland after yesterday's storm knocked down 8 power poles. Crews are still working to get things up and running. Roads are closed and stoplights are flashing red to save battery life. PG&E is expecting to have the lights back on by 10 tomorrow night. And this neighborhood in Tracy got hit hard by yesterday's storm. People's belongings and fences got ripped up, trees and power lines are down, and the power and cable went out. Neighbors there say they have never heard wind like they did yesterday and even saw some ominous-looking clouds. And at Lake Tahoe today, an unfortunate situation in the effort to get the road around Emerald Bay back open. Highway 89 will remain closed after this massive slide brought trees and other debris down to the highway. So, Monica, some pretty heavy snow up there, some snow accumulation. What do we need to know throughout the area?
We are going to see more conditions like that, unfortunately, unfolding over the next week or so. We've got lingering snow showers in the Sierra and a few isolated showers in the valley and the foothills. You can see along 80 and 50. It's much less widespread than certainly what we saw yesterday, giving an opportunity for many of those emergency officials to try to get through and clear some of the damage that we saw yesterday from the thunderstorms as well as the heavy snow and the slides. Still have that winter weather advisory up. That starts up again for tonight at 11 o'clock. Will last all the way through Friday morning with more travel impacts in our forecast. Our temperature trend has been unseasonably cool. Normally we're in the upper 60s. Today, only in the upper 50s. Temperatures right now still in the 50s for the valley, 40s for the foothills, and 30s for the Sierra. It is going to set us up for a chilly night ahead, but even colder conditions for tomorrow morning, or I should say tomorrow night into early Thursday morning. So isolated showers in the forecast for tonight as well as for tomorrow. And then we get into some of those cold conditions into our early Friday morning. We still have the cloud cover hanging in for tonight. That adds just a little bit of a buffer, but you can certainly see the snow showers hanging around. We'll talk more about our weekend forecast coming up.
Monica, thank you. Parts of Acampo in San Joaquin County are still recovering from flooding earlier this year, but there may be more help on the way. The county is hoping money from the federal government will fund a new project to help neighbors avoid future flooding. Kurt Rivera has more.
In January, Ronnie Succo found himself ankle deep in floodwaters that engulfed Acampo.
We've been through it before, but not this bad.
And this is Succo today.
We put our kayaks up, and for a while, we're not going to have to worry about using them again.
While Succo Street is dry, many residents are still recovering. But now, San Joaquin County has announced plans to pursue $2 million in funding from the federal government for a plan they hope will improve Acampo's chances of avoiding another massive flood. The county's plan is to move water away from town through a series of newly improved roadside ditches.
For a project that would intercept drainage from the upper part of the watershed that comes down to these communities, divert it towards the McCallum River, divert some of it into burned up fields for groundwater recharge.
In effect, slowing the water down before it reaches town. A $2.5 million drainage system installed in Acampo just 4 years ago was not enough to handle the historic series of storms. Residents like Leslie Asuncion are hopeful the new plan will help.
Oh yeah, for all of us, yeah. You know, we had to, me and Ron, we had to walk through the water all the way down there.
Ronnie Succo is hopeful for any fix, too.
People prayed for rain, and they didn't say in moderation. We got it all at once.
The county is hoping to get another $3.5 million to build out the project, but the planning will take between 18 months to 2 years before construction could even begin. Our gas prices are still some of the highest in the nation. There's a plan in the works to hold oil companies accountable, but what does that actually mean for us? That's after the break. A Senate committee passed Governor Newsom's plan to penalize oil companies for higher gas prices. It could be up for a vote on the Senate floor as soon as tomorrow. It would give the California Energy Commission power to set a cap on how much oil companies are allowed to profit and then fine them if they go over that. Now, Republicans say they have no voice in the matter and think the plan just protects lawmakers from being held accountable.
When we're creating policies and then telling another agency, hey, you guys do the dirty work of hitting our taxpayers in the pocketbook, and then telling us that, hey, you know what? Hey, we didn't do it. It was the agency.
But Democratic Senator Mike McGuire counters, saying this plan is not a tax. Now, if there is a fine on oil companies, it will go to a fund that lawmakers will have the power to spend. If the program has unintended consequences, in other words, if oil companies raise our gas prices in response to the fines, lawmakers will have to stop the program within half a year. Now, if this will actually reduce our gas prices, only time will tell. After the break, this historic winter flooding is flooding our farms, but this is not unheard of. We are dusting off the archives. Tonight, we're looking to the past to add context to the present. With all the rain, snow, and flooding concerns this year, we dug into the archives to show that, while this year is historic, it's not unheard of. We head to Yolo County in March of 1983.
The locals are starting to call it Lake Zamora, and it's a big one. 30,000 acres underwater, including cars, a dozen houses.
There was nothing saved as far as furniture goes, because no one had any indication that the water was going to reach these heights.
It's not just the houses that these people are worried about out here. With 9 foot of water over their farmland, they see their livelihood, for this year anyway, as just about sunk.
It's going to take too long for this water to get off. Most of this land will be without a crop.
You think you'll have to run fallow the whole year, huh?
Oh, no question. There'll be nothing planted on the 100 acres.
The fields underneath yield everything from corn to alfalfa. Late planting is the best they'll be able to do, probably just on the high spots.
A lot of crop loss and damage. We'll probably feel it for a few years to come. It isn't going to be over just because of water drops.
Sheriff's deputies are keeping an eye out, and neighbors are helping each other. The water dropping only a few inches a day since it came in last Friday. They have a long way to head. Mark Edlund, TV 10 Eyewitness News, Zamora.
And proof that history sort of repeats itself, right? You know, farms saw flooding similar to what we've seen this year. The USDA is supposed to be helping farmers as part of the state's major disaster declaration, Monica.
I would say one thing that hasn't changed, neighbors helping neighbors.
That's right.
Because we're seeing that time and time again. And we've got more storms lined up, Becca. We're going to continue to track that. As far as our radar right now, still seeing some showers in and around the northern California. The brunt of this storm by far has hit the central coast all the way through Southern California. 2 tornadoes in the past 2 days. As we zoom in just a little bit closer, you can see that generally throughout the valley, just some isolated showers, nothing well organized like what we saw yesterday with the thunderstorms rippling through. Some showers for the foothills, and in the Sierra, it's still some snow showers. Now, we're still going to be in a likely scenario for the long-range forecast. A little bit less, though, on that bull nose for the really heavy stuff, but likely cooler, and that sets us up for some very chilly temperatures. Frost advisory goes into effect Friday morning. That'll be from 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. We'll repeat that Saturday and Sunday, so bring in the plants once again. Those frosty conditions are here to stay. As far as our rainfall over the past 24 hours, just about 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch throughout the valley and the foothills, and still some snow flurries for the Sierra. Highs for today, roughly about 10 degrees below average in the valley, only in the upper 50s, near 50 for the foothills, and 30s for the Sierra. Outside right now, we have variable clouds. Our temperatures in the 50s. We're at 34 with some peaks of sunshine for Tahoe. Highs for tomorrow staying cool, a high of only 59. Again, a few isolated showers out there, even into our Thursday forecast. As you can see here, That weather system does not want to lose its grip. Now, what happens in the Sierra is we see a couple of weak waves move to the north of us, and that will just keep the snow showers for the Sierra, but we're dry for the valley with those crisp nights ahead. Here's the developing low pressure system in the Pacific. That's what's going to head our way by early next week. Highs for tomorrow in the 30s for the Sierra, 40s and 50s down low for the foothills. As we head over towards the coast, it will be a dry day. Highs near 55 to 60 degrees, still unseasonably cool. In the valley, tomorrow morning, not terribly cold. We have the cloud cover. That at least gives us a little bit of insulation overnight. Highs will warm into the 50s to near 60. Our 5-day forecast for the mountains. Occasional snow showers tomorrow as well as Friday through the weekend. We'll see our hills forecast pretty similar with the chance of showers for tomorrow, but we dry out Friday through the weekend with more rain heading our way. Late Monday for the coast, it's going to be breezy Friday and Saturday, and then we'll see showers returning by Monday. We'll see that play out for the valley as well. Dry Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but unseasonably cool with those lows in the 30s. By early next week, we bring in another big weather system that will continue through Tuesday and Wednesday, drying out by Thursday and Friday, but we're going to have to watch that one early next week for heavy rain and snow.
Monica, thanks. And folks can download our free ABC 10 app to keep up with the latest information on weather conditions, road and school closures. You can also upload your weather photos and videos there so we can see what's happening in your neighborhood. And here are some of the other stories people are talking about today. The Federal Reserve raised interest rates another 0.25%. That's for short-term loans. The Fed is doing this to cut back on inflation, which is more than 3 times higher than their targeted 2%. The move did raise concerns about how it could impact American banks. Higher interest rates lowered the value of bonds held by Silicon Valley Bank, which was partially responsible for their collapse earlier this month. A summit was held today to help familiarize Native American communities with the National Suicide Hotline. Statistics show that community is more impacted by mental health issues and the suicide crisis than other groups. 988 became the 3-digit suicide hotline back in July. And check your freezers. A brand of organic frozen strawberries is now being recalled. They've been linked to some hepatitis A outbreaks on the West Coast. The strawberries have been sold to some Costco and Trader Joe's stores. If you have any frozen strawberries in your freezer, you can check to see if they're being recalled. We have a list on abc10.com. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I am in for Alex tonight because she is hosting an event in our community. Alex is celebrating 75 change makers who are making a positive difference in our community. They are leaders in the capital region and stand out as innovative problem solvers. Congratulations to everyone being honored tonight. Now, yesterday, we talked about the pastor of an LGBTQIA plus youth group in Placer County who has received a death threat and hateful comments after a group called Project Veritas did a hit piece on him. The pastor was seen in a hidden camera video saying he discusses sexual identity and gender with teenagers without their parents knowing. A lawyer tells us that video was obtained illegally. Project Veritas tells us it stands by its reporting and says it was legal. As a result, both the Roseville and Placer Joint Union High School districts have released statements distancing themselves from the pastor and the youth group. Now, we saw a lot of comments online. Many of them were not productive. So we picked 2 that we think highlight the differing opinions we're hearing. One viewer commented in part saying, "I read the entire article by Veritas, watched the entire video. These students deserve to have a safe space to discuss LGBT issues with those that have gone through it before." He went on to say he was disappointed how the school districts handled the issue. Another said, "Either way, the pastor is out of line and morally in the wrong. Leave kids alone. This is an issue for their parents to handle." And just minutes ago, we received a statement from the pastor's church saying they will continue standing up for LGBTQIA plus kids and hosting safe spaces for them, and say they're exploring legal action against Project Veritas. Now, as always, we want to know your thoughts on the issue and any issue in your community. Please send us a text to 916-321-3310, or you can email us at tothepoint@abc10.com. We do read all of your emails, we review the texts, and so many of the good stories we're able to tell are because you have reached out to us to highlight the good in your community and the things that you think deserve shedding light on. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, it's Alex. Just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I really love hearing from everyone, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. Reach out to me on Facebook at AlexBellTV, or you can email me at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send me a text message at 916-321-3310.